Welcome to another edition of Be the Change Georgia, where we amplify the voices of the inspiring business leaders surrounding the B Corp and social impact movements across the Southeast to help you learn how to build your legacy at the intersection of people, planet, purpose, and profit. Today, there are more than 8,000 B Corps in over 80 countries and 180 different industries, unified by one common goal: transforming the global economy to benefit all people, communities, and the planet. If you want to learn how to plug into our purpose-driven business community alongside the inspiring leaders we feature on this show, check us out at belocalgeorgia.com or on Instagram or Facebook at belocalgeorgia, and we'll hope to meet you at our next event. Today you'll have the opportunity to learn from Jay Bailey, the president and CEO of the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs. Jay is a visionary leader whose mission is to empower and uplift the next generation of entrepreneurs and business owners. With a passion for building communities and creating spaces for underrepresented voices, Jay has dedicated his career to fostering innovation and entrepreneurship in Atlanta and beyond. In this episode, Jay shares his inspiring journey from his own early entrepreneurial ventures to leading a center that honors the legacy of Herman Russell, one of Atlanta's most influential business leaders. We'll explore how Jay's experiences have shaped his vision for the Russell Center, the importance of community in entrepreneurship, and why creating lasting impact is his ultimate goal. Stay tuned for a powerful episode about the power of perseverance, the significance of community support, and Jay's commitment to cultivating an ecosystem where Black entrepreneurs thrive. Welcome to another episode of Be the Change Georgia. We're joined today at the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs with my man, Jay Bailey.
Hey, brother, it's always good to be here, man. You're doing amazing work throughout the state, throughout the region. So if I can make some time, man, I wanted to make it happen. Welcome.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I've actually been working here all day, so
I love it.
Welcome indeed. I appreciate it.
I love it.
Yeah, we had a planning call. I'm excited to kind of like dive into some of the different things we talked about, pick your brain a little bit. And I know we just were here for Build Southeast, and we brought 50, 60 people.
Which was fantastic, by the way. People are still talking about it, so good.
Like jaws on the floor, too.
Yeah, man. It was a great time.
And I don't think I realized until it was everybody that, not necessarily from Atlanta, that saw this place and was like, wow.
Well, I'm not even just talking about our place. I'm just saying the energy in the room, the people that you assembled. It was just a good look, brother. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I said that was my love letter to Atlanta, even though my guy lives in Athens. Of just the
little A.
Yeah, the little A.
Yeah.
It's the lowercase a. But just all the ecosystem that's here and how welcoming it's been to us as we've grown the B Corp community and here. And I mean, Scales and Skinny rolled out the red carpet for us at Atlantucky, so it was just awesome all around.
Oh man.
Well, let's get into it then. We talked. I mean, I've heard the story. But the early experiences, like how did you get to where you are today? But I want to talk about like formative years, being in South DeKalb, being at UGA, figuring out what an entrepreneur even was.
Sure.
And then and we'll get into the Rice part of the journey. But how did those early years shape you, shape who you are, and shape who you are as a leader?
You know, I'm one of those folks when people ask, okay, if you could go back in time and change anything, I always say nothing. Like I want to live through all of it. All the painful, all the hard, all the dirty, all the depressing, all the triumphant, like all of it makes you who you are today, right? And so, as you know, man, I started my first business when I was 12. Car stereo business where I used to install car stereo, but that was my passion. Literally, I got to Athens because of that business. I was a horrible student, but because I was installing car stereo equipment and I wanted to be a successful business person, if it was today, it'd be called STEM education because we were dealing with ohms and wattage and electric loads. But my aspiration to be successful in business met my need for education. School became relevant, and I took off. At AP Calculus, AP Physics, I wasn't in school anymore because my parents thought I could do better. Or I wasn't in school anymore because my teacher said I had so much potential. I was there for my own enlightened self-interest. And so my GPA got bumped up just enough to qualify for the first couple of rounds of the Hope Scholarship. And UGA was a logical choice because several of the other schools I had interest in, we just couldn't afford as a family. And Athens was some of the best 5 years of my life. I took a victory lap because I was having so much of a good time. But it was an entrepreneurial journey as well. Unfortunately, lost my mother my sophomore year while I was at Georgia. But what is an entrepreneurial kid who's maybe a little depressed, but is, convicted that I'm going to make it through UGA? So I bought my first house while I was in UGA, right off College Station Road on the east side.
Wow.
And bought a 4-bedroom house, rented out 3 bedrooms to my new frat brothers. And that was the model, right? And we had an epic time. But the through line throughout my life has always been entrepreneurship, even when it got really good. And I made my first $1 million by the time I was 23. But as you've heard in my story, I did not have good role models. I figured that I could do it all by myself. I didn't surround myself with people that could support me. And I went from living in a 10,000 square foot home to literally being homeless at 28. And so it was at that point, by the world standards, I had been successful, cars, clothes, houses. But I had zero significance. I had done nothing to put a dent in this world. I had changed no one's life. And I spent a lot of my 20s misguided, focused on material, probably healing a lot too, because we may get into the conversation around. I'm a firm believer that loss creates leaders, and I had a tremendous amount of losses in that time. So it created this space where I just wanted to huddle in by myself and push everybody away. But when I started chasing significance, everything changed. And that significant journey of wanting to focus on the greater good, of wanting to do things that last outside of my body. As you've heard, my mantra, plant seeds that will grow trees whose shade you may never sit under. I'm a father of 2 now. But the goal is really, how can I be a really dope great-great-great-grandfather? The things that I do today have some impact on children throughout my lineage that I'll never meet. And that's really the focus. And so no, man, it's always been an innovation. It's always been entrepreneurship. It's always been trying to figure out a way to do it differently. And it's always been asking the question, why not?
And I have to ask the follow-up question because you teased it. Like, talk about not necessarily talk about the failures, but the scars. And I think any entrepreneur has been through it. It's the getting your hopes up for a meeting and something doesn't happen, or this doesn't happen, or BK, or you've got to lay off staff. Like, talk about those failures and how did they make you into the man you are today?
It's I think far too often we take walking upright for granted. Like we think that, with all the narrative say, charge ahead, look straight ahead, keep your eyes on the road. I'm a firm believer, brother, if you've never been on your back, I don't know if you've ever really seen the sun. And I think that when you're flat on your back and all you can do is just look up, that's when you truly figure out, like, how do I test my mettle and who am I as a person? Not when things are going right. But I'm talking about when the storms are coming and the waves are 40 feet and there feels like there's nothing that's ever going to have you come out of this. What do you pull from? And so if it was losses of friends and family, as I shared, I lost my mother and a best friend, a first cousin, a college sweetheart, buried all of my grandparents. But at the same time of losing homes and losing money and literally living in that 9x9 storage unit, stealing electricity to power my little VCR TV combo, watching Remember the Titans 100 times a day just to try to feel normal. But even when things are better, and, like the Russell Center, I mean, in the beginning, this room didn't exist, bro. These floors were not here. These walls were not here. These ceiling tiles, this technology certainly wasn't here. And I had a lot of people saying that it would not work. And then I had a global pandemic saying, I don't know if the world's going to be here in a couple of years. And so how do you press through that? How do you persevere? And I think that, continuously for me was this unshakable faith that I had, this unshakable commitment to community, realizing that I had been blessed in amazing ways. And how could I be a blessing to other people? That I had come out of some of the worst scenarios, the worst circumstances, and the worst situations. And I knew that I had something to share with other people that were going through things like that too. And I just had this extreme confidence and belief that we could create something maybe the world had never seen before. Certainly something that could outlast me, but potentially something that could change the course of history. So I had to keep going. I didn't have a choice. And for everything that's been poured into me over the years, for all that my ancestors have endured to have me in this place right now, brother, I just feel like I don't have the right to fail.
I had an old boss tell me the other day, just talking about entrepreneurship, talking about this year's been tough for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And he said 2 years in, I started to realize more money was going out than was coming in.
Sure.
And I realized I was going to have to get really comfortable doing things that were uncomfortable. And he goes, you're either going to do that or you're going to find something else to do.
That's all it boils down to, bro. That you got to get really comfortable with the uncomfortable. But at the same time, if you're doing the types of things that other people cannot, that other people will not.
Yeah.
But ultimately, people's lives are moved forward because of it. There is always somewhat of a martyr or a giver or someone that took the arrows, took the stones, took the dark, cold nights to ensure that those pathways exist. And oftentimes those people don't get the credit they deserve.
Yep.
But those type of people have whatever is in them that's created them and brought them to that moment, whatever it takes to endure those moments, because someone's whole life depends on them being successful.
Yep. And I think doing those things, doing the uncomfortable becomes a lot easier when you have laid on your back, not because you want to look at the stars, but because you get knocked there.
Bro, you develop a fearlessness. What are they going to do? They're going to take my car?
What's the worst thing going to happen?
Oh, what are they going to do? They're going to take my house? They're going to take my jacket? A lot worse has happened. And I think that fearlessness comes from if you've been on your back, I subscribe to you have lived through 100% of your worst days.
Yeah.
And I have had some pretty dark days, but I'm here talking to you in the center, on a microphone, in a podcast studio that we dreamed up, right?
Yeah.
So what could I fear? And I have this relentless pursuit of how can we get better? Why not? And again, that fearlessness that says that, hey, man, what could possibly be worse than I've already been through?
Yeah. And I remember being here pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like March, whatever day it was, Rudy Gobert was touching microphones and everybody was kind of laughing. And then like a day later, the world shut down.
Yeah.
And we had this was a shell and completely, literally nothing except the symposium.
Yep, that's it.
And we did like one of our first Be Local Georgia events here. And then I remember going to like pick recycling out of the trash because I'm, a sustainability nerd and I can't help myself.
Yeah.
And the same old boss goes to me, he's like, we're on the verge of a global pandemic. You can start sifting through trash over there. But that was my first Russell Center.
I am who exposure. I am. Tell me, yeah, no doubt.
Exactly. I'm like, well, I'll risk this COVID thing.
Yeah.
But tell us about Rice. Tell us about the dream, the vision, and where we are today,
sure.
and even where you want to go. And I know we talked about the fourth quadrant. We'll get there a little bit later, but just kind of give us that story. And obviously now we've got you up until you get here. But talk about the beauty that is this dream come to reality.
It's amazing, man. And it's hard to talk about our work without talking about the man. Like the Russell Center, for those that are listening, guys, the Russell part of it is in honor of Herman J. Russell Sr., one of the most prolific entrepreneurs Atlanta ever produced. This guy built half of our skyline, integrated the Chamber of Commerce at the city and the state level, first minority certified business in the state of Georgia, prolific entrepreneur at the airport, prolific builder, underwriter of the civil rights movement, where a young Dr. King used to go to Mr. Russell's house that had a pool inside it with a tennis court in his early 30s and try to figure out how he wanted to change the world. In this building, I think that when you guys get to visit the Russell Center, you'll see that we're building on an incredible legacy. Think of a black man 78 years ago, Jim Crow segregated racist South, where there were still documented lynchings of black people just for thinking too much of themselves. This brother had the audacity to build a headquarter building that was a full city block wide and 50,000 square feet and didn't hide behind some anonymous name. Named it H.J. Russell and Company. This is where I am. He had the vision to build it on a hill overlooking the campuses of Morehouse, Clark, Spelman, Morris Brown, ITC, because back then you couldn't go to UGA if you looked like me. And that's not ancient history. My dad could not have gone to UGA. And so if you think about him building his headquarters on a hill overlooking these campuses so that those students that would come from all over the world to go to the best schools available for black people at the time, they could see the physical manifestation of what was possible for people that looked like them every day they matriculated. Herman Russell was just a phenomenal businessman, civic leader, and just all around just force. So to be able to fast forward and carry this building that Herman built, to create the next Herman Russell, to inspire the next Herman Russell, to support the next Herman Russell that could be transformational for our city. Providing all the best resources and bringing them under one roof, but under the auspices that our goal is not to be informational. We cannot just be about curriculum. I went to UGA and had an incredible time. But if you ask me what was most important and most powerful about my time there, I would not say a syllabus. It was the community. It was the culture. It was the covenant. I don't care if I run into the deepest, darkest racist in America. After that second national championship, if I'm in the airport wearing a Georgia sweatshirt and I say, "Go Dogs," that racist is going to come over there, dap me up, give me a hug, and say, "Go Dogs" back.
Yep.
The covenant, the culture is that strong. So why don't we lead with community, culture, covenant, wrap it around the world-class curriculum, world-class faculty, but literally focus on how do you create the deepest sense of belonging? That belonging undergirds the belief, the self-confidence, undergirds how to deal with the anxiety, the depression, the loneliness, the isolation, and look at the whole entrepreneur. And let us build a beautiful space that says to people, yes, I see value in my own reflection. That build a space that says that, you know what, I'm worth it and my ideas matter. Let's build a space where, no, it doesn't have to be second rate. So we set, an unspoken precedent and level that we must perform at. We want entrepreneurs, and we've named it the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs. Why? Because we just didn't want to be an institution to teach. Mm-hmm. We wanted this building to be a tool for the entrepreneur. So whether we're doing curriculum or not, every day you walk in this building, there's something that we're contributing to your spirit that makes you a better entrepreneur. Even if it's the way that you feel, and I feel like it's a can-do moment. Maybe you're on your back and you have no money to do anything, but you still have an amazing room to have that meeting in. Maybe you're experiencing food insecurity and somebody's always catering a meal here or something. And it's always, I never feel that I don't have what I need to be successful, ever. If I could just get to the Russell Center, everything that I'm dreaming up is possible.
Wow, that's powerful. And the book too, Building Atlanta, going back to the Herman Russell story, is incredible. And it's funny how many people, and I had a call after Build with a friend of mine that came down from New York City, and he said, the most powerful thing I took away from those 2 days was, and he held up Herman Russell's book.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, but I'm in Anitra. You got to meet Anitra, and she was so excited to meet you. She was so excited to be in this building.
Yeah.
It's almost like, she was jokingly calling herself a fangirl.
Oh, man.
But she told me, and that's what we bonded over.
Shout out to Anitra then.
Yeah.
One time, $40. Yeah.
So, of like, that book, she was like, that book changed my life.
I love it.
And so it is an incredible story. It's an incredible building. And you've talked about figuring out this, like, beyond curriculum, the sense of belonging. But you guys are also giving entrepreneurs access to things that underserved, overlooked entrepreneurs don't usually get. You're bringing the Walmarts in, you're bringing UPS in, there's a logistics center. So talk a little bit about the resources that are here as well.
Well, it's the basic premise that I think we lose GDP every year because the brilliant ideas that reside on the south side of the tracks of every city in America never reach the marketplaces they don't believe they belong. When you talk about innovation, we leave so many billions of dollars on the table because find me somebody more innovative on the planet than a single mother with 2 kids making $17,000 a year. The way she thinks, the way she problem solves. You're talking about PhD level problem solving, right? But also, man, when you start to think about our term that we use is uncommon access. How can we create and think every day on how we can provide uncommon access to our entrepreneurs? Like next week, we've got Walt Disney, we got Amazon, and we got Apple in the building. They're flying in executives to help people understand how to have the competitive advantage to do business with these big corporations. Flying 14 of our entrepreneurs out to Bentonville, Arkansas to pitch their ideas directly at Walmart headquarters. Jamie Dimon's been to this building 3 or 4 times. Robert Smith more than a couple of times. Like, being able to provide the level of access in our space. Vice President Kamala Harris was here to launch her economic platform just a couple of weeks ago. What does that say to the entrepreneur? You come to my space. We didn't have to come to you. What we're doing here collectively and why we call them stakeholders, not members or anything else, what we are doing collectively, Jay and me, Paul and me, Shakiri and me, like we are collectively doing this. And this thing that we have created is important enough to bring some of the most pivotal, most influential, most powerful people in the world to come see us. That does something to an entrepreneur.
You know, we've talked before about imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is the most self-defeating. And I was on a call with I'm on the board of B Academics. We were talking earlier about imposter syndrome in the academic space. It exists across the board, and everybody I've ever talked to, no matter the level of success, never fully gets rid of it. You sit across from somebody going, why am I here right now? And why are they talking to me? And they're thinking the same thing talking to you. So the ability to do that and empower these entrepreneurs to also shake as much of that as you possibly can.
Yeah, and I think that's a real thing, man. And I think that you become what you behold. And if I've not seen a lot of very highly successful business people, my ability to believe I can do it goes way down. If I'm in a circle of friends and peers and none of them are willing to take the risk to take the leap to start a business, then my ability to actually have the courage to take that leap goes way down. And so that's why community is so important, being surrounded by people that are all taking the risk, surrounded by people that all know what it feels like for your mama to be disappointed that you left that good job to start a business. How does that feel? Like your mama's disappointed in you for chasing your dream. And so to be around people that say, go get a job, versus people are saying, that's a great idea. There's power in having that support network. There's power in finding that tribe. It's the number one piece of advice I give any entrepreneur or small business owner. Do not do it alone. It's just too hard. There's just too much for you to try to handle by yourself.
It's funny you said that. I love my parents. I'm going to throw that out there. Mom, Dad, love you. But when I quit my job, my dad texted me, I can't believe you worked there that long. You didn't get a severance, because he thought I got fired.
Yeah.
And then the next text I got was, remember, I tried this. I ran out of money after 6 months, so be careful. And I finally was like, okay, Dad, I love you, but it's only positive vibes.
Wrong
he never
energy.
said that again. He from then on, he's been positive. But in his mind, he was trying to help, but the risk, all of it was so foreign to my parents. And my mom said, don't worry about your father. I still love you. Like, so that story kind of hit where you're like, yeah, no, that is, and then you start doubting yourself, though. You're like, maybe I should have, I don't know.
Well,
but hey, I haven't looked back, so we'll see.
Well,
I touched on it earlier, and I want to talk about it because I know it's big on your mind. I know, like, some of the stuff Joey's doing at Goody Nation. He's been on the podcast. He's thinking the same thing with his Equity Wings training. You talked about this fourth quadrant. And so how do we, as Rice continues to grow, as some of these companies continue, I mean, you're drinking a water bottle that's on the shelves of Walmart now. Yeah. As some of these companies grow, exits are going to happen, fortunes are going to be made, and people are going to exit in a position, and even employee whatever 38 it's going to be life-changing. Yeah. So how do you create this, and what is the importance of creating this expectation? We talk about like Silicon Valley and the old boys club, and it really, all it is it's just a community of people who exit and they reinvest and then they mentor, but they're mentoring with a check, not just mentoring. And so how do we create that here, and how do we, and I say that here is in Rice, but all the different players in this Atlanta ecosystem, this Southeastern ecosystem, how do we create this and create our own kind of funding club, our own support network that does give the support, give the funding, give the backing to the next generation of entrepreneurs that's sitting out there at a desk right now trying to figure out where that bridge loan is going to come from, or how we're going to get that MVP to market.
I mean, I think the Stanford Silicon Valley mafia kind of story is real. To your point, like if I'm employee 40 at Airbnb, I'm pretty rich. It's not just one or two guys got rich. And if you have that multiplier by 50 companies out there, you've got an ecosystem of secretaries that are angel investors. You've got, lower level managers that have the capacity to invest $25,000, $30,000 into a venture. And it becomes culture because it's so normalized and because people actually have the capital to do it. I think that in this case, in the beginning stages of where Atlanta can go as an ecosystem, as a place where people can pour resources in, and then we see the growth from those resources, right? You know, I think it's laced in culture. We've got to destroy this kind of thin layer of, if I help you, that diminishes me. And I'm okay with me giving you something and you doing better than me. And I think that we hold on to some of those adages because you see a lot of companies that exit and there are only one or two very wealthy people or very, very rich people. You know, even with the model with the Russell Center, as part of the covenant, if we do this right, it's kind of, I stole it from the university model. UGA does not force me to say, if we trained you to get a job, then you give back to the university. No. They've got a whole staff that does pretty good to put giving opportunities in front of me.
Oh, they do.
But because I owe a lot to my UGA experience, I cut a check back to the University of Georgia. We cut checks back to a lot of universities. Why? Because if it was our parents or our cousin or something that we benefit from, and maybe I didn't go to Morehouse or Spelman or Clark, but I've written checks to each of them before. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of benevolence through giving, creating that culture of giving, is something that we want to see here, that if Positivity Water or FS360 or Evolve Contractors sees exponential growth in the next 3 to 5 years, and some of that growth they can attribute directly to, had they not been a part of the Russell Center community, it would not have occurred. Then if we're providing them pathways to show some love back, it's easier for us to do it. Now, if I sit back and say, well, they should give back, well, we did all that for them, why ain't they giving back? It's a different energy. Mm-hmm. Remember, positive vibes only from your dad. It's now, David, wow, brother, you've done exceedingly well. Would you be willing to support 2 entrepreneurs for the cost of, et cetera, right? Giving people pathways to give back, not as an expectation, but as an explanation, and saying this is how we create this ecosystem, this culture of giving back, this culture of investment, this culture of actually supplying our own needs. We don't have to go outside of our city to look for the funding and beg other people that don't understand what we're doing here. Let's solve our own problems. That is a culture that has to be developed over time, but it is one of the goals of the center to become self-sufficient on our own steam, and I think that we can get there.
It's outcome driven system design. At the end of the day, it's
absolutely, brother.
It's figuring that out of how do you, and what was that? A Nick Saban quote I heard recently. It was something along the lines of helping others for your own benefit is manipulation. Helping others for their benefit is leadership. And I'm like, it was a reel on Instagram. I just kept hitting. I just kind of played on a loop, and I just kept like listening to the quote, and I'm like,
as much as I hate Alabama, you know. He does come up. He comes out with some bangers a lot of the time, man.
There's
Nick Saban's he's a beast.
I hate to say it. There's a reason they won as much as they did.
Hey, there's a longer story for another podcast.
There's a lot of tears shed. There's been a lot of,
man. I'll tell you today when I knew he was different. That's another story for another podcast. But the brother's different.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Well, it's There's I just opened up Pandora's box of scars and bad memories. So bringing it full circle to where we started in kind of the entrepreneurial journey, putting in car speakers, putting in stereos. Were these the old ones, by the way, where you had to clip the face off and wear it around your chain so it didn't get stolen, so they couldn't steal your car stereo?
Pull out. I'm talking about pull out stereos and detachable face. Oh yeah, that was my era. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I grew up in Miami. I had the detachable face.
Man, I'm telling you,
you better take it with you. But bringing it full circle to those early entrepreneur days, what does it mean to Jay Bailey? What does it mean to you to have the honor of stewarding this place? So, this is your baby, but it's not your baby. It's kind of like the planet. We're just kind of stewarding it through to the next generation.
Absolutely, man.
And I heard you speak during Build Southeast, and somebody asked you what's next, and you talked about, I hope it's walking through these halls as an OG, just waving at people, and they're like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah,
that the legacy just lives on. So, what does it mean for you to be here right now?
I think that's it. My motto: plant seeds that will grow trees whose shade you may never sit under. It is. I don't own this legacy. I'm here because Mr. Russell lived, right? Make no mistake, this wouldn't have occurred had Herman Russell not sacrificed. So how could I get selfish or full of ego around a thing that I didn't set forth? But it is my time on this planet to steward this seed, cultivate that seed, and hopefully grow further. And so this notion of this, you don't own this. Even if it's your own last name, you still don't own it, right? And doing as much as you can to help other people to move their journey forward and then move on to whatever your next endeavor is. But man, it's very powerful for me to see where we came from, where we are now, and the potential of where we could be. And if I have a role in creating an institution that lives far beyond me, then there's a certain amount of pride and just joy and fulfillment that comes from that. I tell people all the time, like I have a 3-year-old daughter and I got a 4-month-old. And if somebody sent us a letter and said, hey, both of them get a full ride to Stanford, I'd be overjoyed, right? But I don't know who's running Stanford. I don't know the president. I don't know the provost. I don't know a single professor. But I know the institution's reputation is so strong that it has value all the way in Atlanta, Georgia for my 2 daughters. What if we could create an institution that did more than just espouse hope? What if we could create an institution that literally manufactured hope at scale, where people knew that we had a system and a design that if I enter Harvard Law School, by the time I'm done with my 3rd year, I'm one of the most, sought after brains and legal minds in the world because of the brand of that institution, the way they go about teaching law. If I'm a Harvard Business School student, if I'm a Spelman graduate, if I'm a Morehouse graduate, if I'm a Clark Atlanta graduate, there are companies all over the world clamoring for the talent that these institutions have created for over 100 years. What if we could do the same? That's the motivation. And there are people that have given everything to a Morehouse or Spelman and their time has passed, but the institution carries on.
That's deep right there. That's legacy.
My man.
That's why we do the work.
Amen.
And I was going to ask something about calling, but at the end of the day, that's when you know it is the true calling.
And I think the calling, I had a revelation at a retreat or something. As I kind of start going through the timeline of my life, it's always been about building community. Always. In college, in high school, in elementary school, throughout my professional career, and the things that I aspire to do even after I leave the Russell Center. It's about how do you create these safe spaces for people that don't feel safe in spaces? How do you create, like I bought the house in Athens, right? It became a safe haven for people that there were no black fraternity houses in Athens. There were no black sorority houses in Athens. Jay's house became that, right? But, from organizations that I was a part of, organizations that I started, it's always been about bringing our people together. Like the homecoming, the Black UGA homecoming in Athens was started by me and 4 other friends. And when we first started, there may have been a couple of 50 people out there, 100 people. Now thousands show up because at the time we were graduates of the University of Georgia and there was no reason for us to attend homecoming. It didn't feel like a homecoming for us. So we wanted to create that space. And I saw this kind of through line throughout my life that I've always been when you start talking about purpose. It's about creating these environments, these events, these moments that bring people together.
I wish I had another really great question. Like every question, I'm like, oh man, that's a mic dropper right there. But I just appreciate always spending time with you because you're an inspiring individual. But you're just a good person. I'm not to plug the shirt that I'm wearing. I didn't even plan that. But it happens. But no, you're just what you're building, the selflessness with which you're building. And again, that leadership and that you are helping all of these entrepreneurs live their best life, live their dreams out. And entrepreneurship is that. It is the wildest of dreams.
Yeah.
And it is a ride. It is that you better be ready for. But I just appreciate you, everything you're doing for the entrepreneurs in this building, but everything you're doing for the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia, and then I know beyond. So I just want to say thank you for coming on and thank you for being here. Is there anything else you wish you want to drop? I wish I would have asked?
I think I would say the same to you, though, brother. You're taking this model and putting it on your back. You're literally saying, guys, let me take all the arrows. Let me take all the stones. Let me climb the steep learning curve to then pour back for the betterment of our state, right? that if we win collectively, the state wins and millions of people benefit. And brother, that takes a tremendous amount of courage. And so the thank you also goes back to you that you're an authentic leader. You're a giving leader. You couldn't do this work if your heart wasn't in the right place. It's just too difficult. And I think the more of us that kind of come together that want to do things for the right reasons, more of the right things start happening, more of the right connections start appearing, and more of the right results start showing up. And so, brother, I'm honored that you said, hey, I'm sorry it took so long for us to get a sit down. But, brother, we're here now, and I'm just deeply appreciative for you for thinking of me, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on, and just say the feeling's mutual.
My brother.
I hope y'all enjoyed this. Our first live, full-on video podcast recording too. There's equipment in here. I don't even know what it does, but we're gonna take good care of us. So, Jay Bailey, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
My brother. Talk to you soon.
Well, that wraps up another edition of Be the Change Georgia. We're grateful, as always, for the opportunity to serve you with this content and grow this incredible community of purpose-driven B Corp leaders. If you haven't already, we would be grateful for you to rate this show wherever you get your podcasts by simply tapping the number of stars you think it deserves and sharing it with a friend. This helps us get the word out and continue to use our collective influence as a force for good. This podcast wouldn't be possible without the help from our production team at Chat with Leaders Media. Learn how you can launch your own podcast to grow your business at chatwithleaders.com. Thanks again for listening, and now go be a leader worth following.